In the mid-2000s, there were a number of well-known TV channels who had programming blocks for kids. Most of these would be on Saturday mornings. At the beginning of 2006, Nickelodeon was on CBS on Saturday mornings. Disney Channel was on ABC, Fox had 4Kids TV, and NBC had Discovery Kids. Around this time, several companies were working together to launch a new children's entertainment brand. The companies involved were Ion Media Networks, NBC Universal, Chorus Entertainment, Classic Media, and Scholastic Corporation. The brand that these companies were creating would be called Qubo, led by President Rick Rodriguez, who had previously been an executive at Discovery Communications. The name Qubo represented a building block for kids, and the logo was a 3D-looking block. Qubo would have educational programming for children ages 5 to 14. It was also designed to offer programming in both English and Spanish available through SAP. So what shows was Qubo going to have? Well, to some, this might have been disappointing, and to others, it might have been exciting. Because when Qubo launched, they did not have any original programming. Everything they had was archived content from programming libraries of the founding companies. This included 10 different libraries. So basically, it was just reruns of shows from various channels in various countries. We'll get into the specific shows a little bit later. Now, at the beginning of 2006, Discovery Kids was the programming block every Saturday morning on NBC. This lineup included the shows Endurance, Trading Spaces Boys vs. Girls, Kenny the Shark, Flight 29 Down, and the Time Warp Trio. But in March of that same year, it was announced that Discovery Kids would be parting ways with NBC. Just like Nickelodeon and Disney, Discovery Kids had their own cable channel, which had launched in October of 1996. When Discovery Kids had premiered as a programming block on NBC in October of 2002, their cable channel had a reported 21 million subscribers. With the exposure from having a block on NBC, which was not a cable channel and got far more viewers, this could bring in many more subscribers. And it seemed to work, because by 2006, after less than 4 years being on the block, Discovery Kids more than doubled in subscribers from 21 million to 43 million. This is one of the main reasons they parted ways with NBC and stated that they wanted to focus on their own channel. This opened up a Saturday morning time slot for NBC, and in May of that year, it was announced that Qubo would be taking over that time. On Saturday, September 9th, 2006, Qubo launched on NBC as their new Saturday morning block, and 1 week later, on September 15th, Qubo launched a daytime block on the channel Ion, which was called I at the time, that originally aired every Friday. It would also air on Telemundo on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Ion Media Networks, which was one of the founding companies of Qubo, and Ion, being a broadcast TV channel, meant you did not have to have cable to watch it. This was one of the only non-cable channels to have a children's programming block on a weekday at the time, with PBS being about the only other one. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about every show that was ever on Qubo, but I am going to give a little information on the original lineup. The starting 7 original shows were VeggieTales, Dragon, 321 Penguins, Larry Boy Cartoon Adventures, Jane and the Dragon, Jacob Tutu, and Babar. The NBC block, Telemundo block, and Friday daytime block on Ion all had the same shows. VeggieTales and Larry Boy were both created by Big Idea Entertainment, with Larry Boy being a spin-off series from VeggieTales. Big Idea Entertainment was sold to Classic Media in 2003, which is how they were able to have it on Qubo. VeggieTales was a CGI animated series about a group of vegetables and fruit characters who teach life lessons and stories from the Bible. There were different segments, such as songs, and typically 2 stories. The series first started in 1993 and would release videos directly to VHS and later DVD, with the show not airing on television until it got to Qubo. Larry Boy Cartoon Adventures was the character Larry from VeggieTales as a superhero. The series originally ran from 2002 to 2003, and according to my research, only had 4 episodes. This seems a little strange, because the show aired weekly for just over a year on the block. This would mean that if it was on every week, it would probably just be repeating the same 4 episodes. But after some more research, I found that Larry Boy and 321 Penguins would trade off in the same time slot. 321 Penguins was also created by Big Idea Entertainment. This show was originally released on DVD from 2000 to 2003. More episodes were made when the show was picked up by Qubo. 321 Penguins was about twins Jason and Michelle, who were staying with their grandmother in the Poconos. She has figurines, including one of 4 penguins and a rocket ship. When the twins drop it on accident, the figurines become alive and the twins are pulled into the ship. They go on adventures with the penguins and learn morals as well as Bible verses. Dragon, not to be confused with Jane and the Dragon, was a stop-motion animation show based on a series of best-selling books by Dave Pilkey. The show is about a friendly dragon who is also named Dragon. Dragon learns about things with his friends during his daily life. The show was more for younger children, and originally it was produced by Scholastic and aired from 2004 to 2007 on the Canadian channel Treehouse TV. Now, Jane and the Dragon was a CGI animated TV show also based on a series of books. This series was also Canadian and aired from 2005 to 2006 on YTV, which is a kids television channel based in Toronto. It was produced by Nelvana Limited and Weta Productions. This show is about a 12-year-old girl named Jane, who is a knight's apprentice. She becomes best friends with a dragon, who is also named Dragon. I guess Canadian TV show writers are very creative when it comes to naming dragons. Jacob Tutu was another show on the original blocks. This show was another Canadian series from YTV, also produced by Nelvana. Originally, it aired from 2003 to 2006. This show is about Jacob Tutu, who is the youngest of 5 children. It follows his daily life and adventures with his friends at school, and also about his adventures being the smallest and youngest in a large family living in Montreal. He got the nickname Tutu because growing up, he often had to say things twice to be heard in his large family. The final show on the block was Babar, which was another Canadian show. It originally aired on CBC in Canada for seasons 1 to 3, and the Family Channel in Canada for seasons 4 to 5. These original 5 seasons ran from 1989 to 1991, and another season was added in 2001, which aired on TVO and the Knowledge Network, both also Canadian channels. Babar is based on a series of books of the same name, and also 2 TV specials which were released on NBC in 1968 and 1971. It's about Babar, who is an elephant. His mother was killed by a hunter, and he then moves to the city where he's adopted by a lady who teaches him many things. He then returns to the forest with his new knowledge, drives out the hunters, and becomes king of the elephants, as well as developing a city. He marries an elephant named Celeste and has children. The show tells stories about his life as well as his whole family. So these were the original shows on the programming blocks. Over time, some shows would leave and be replaced by others. Shows would come and go several times as well. Overall, there were many different shows that were broadcast one time or another. There was also a short 2-minute long program during breaks called Ask Me. They also added the short programs The Zimmer Twins and Vitaminix later on. But just months after these blocks started, on January 8, 2007, at 6 a.m., Qubo launched its own channel. It was part of Ion Media Networks and not a cable channel, but free on broadcast television in most markets. It was estimated that Qubo reached 58.83% of households in the United States. However, there were a few notable cities that it did not reach, such as Toledo and Cincinnati, Ohio, San Diego, Charlotte, Richmond, and Green Bay. For Qubo's new channel, they had many of the programs which aired on NBC Saturday mornings, as well as Ion and Telemundo, but they also had many more shows. It was mostly a mixture of acquired programming from the 90s and 2000s from Canada, the United States, as well as England. It was interesting to see some shows that had previously been popular but had been off the air for years. Qubo did actually produce some original programs though. There were just 3 in total, and they were My Friend Rabbit, Turbo Dogs, and Sheldon. The first was My Friend Rabbit, which aired from 2007 all the way until 2020. Based on a book by Eric Roman, the series was about a rabbit named Rabbit and his adventures with friends. The friends worked together to solve problems, and there were 2 seasons of the show and 26 total episodes. Turbo Dogs, which ran from 2008 to 2015, was a comedy series about a group of dogs who are race car drivers. This series was also adapted from a book, which in this case was by Bob Kohler, and this series also had 26 episodes. The final original series from Qubo was called Sheldon. This one ran from 2009 to 2012 and had more than 60 episodes. It was about a shellfish named Sheldon and his adventures with friends in their fictional underwater world of Shell Land. Qubo had a handful of interstitial programming over the years, such as the Zimmer Twins, Ask Me, and Zerby Derby. The Zimmer Twins and Ask Me had obviously come over from NBC from their block, and there were also regular commercials on Qubo, many of them being for children's products or as seen on TV type of commercials. So which shows on Qubo were the best? Well, according to internet online polls, the most loved show that was on Qubo was Jacob Tutu. Coming in second was Pearly, which was about a fairy who learned life lessons in a world of other fairies as well as elves. The show ran from 2009 to 2020 on Qubo. Third place went to The Magic School Bus, which was pretty well known from its books, as well as the time that it was on PBS in the mid-90s. Willa's Wildlife got 4th place, which aired from 2009 to 2012, and was a show for preschoolers about a girl named Willa who has zoo animals as pets. And rounding out the top 5 was Babar. So, what ended up happening to Qubo? The Qubo block ran for almost 6 years on NBC and Telemundo, but in 2012, NBC Universal was bought by Comcast. Comcast, which was the United States' largest cable TV provider at the time, had just tried to purchase Disney for $41 billion, but the deal fell through. They mainly wanted to buy Disney for ESPN, but when they couldn't get it, they looked to buy NBC Universal. And in this, they succeeded. NBC was 4th among the 4 major TV networks at the time, the others being CBS, ABC, and Fox. And Universal Studios had recently struggled, so they ended up selling to Comcast. And after the sale, it was decided to replace the Qubo Saturday morning block as well as the Telemundo block. They replaced them with a block called NBC Kids, which ran from 2012 to 2016 on NBC, and in 2017 on Telemundo, and was later replaced by The More You Know, which is the current Saturday morning block on NBC. Qubo continued to have blocks on Ion Television, which didn't get nearly as many viewers as NBC, and moved from Friday to Sunday mornings in 2015. During the 2010s, many TV channels, especially kids' TV channels, sadly declined every year. There are a number of reasons, but the most obvious is streaming services as well as smartphones and tablets. Instead of watching TV, you can instantly choose exactly what you want to watch on demand on any kind of smart device, such as a TV, tablet, or phone. Things like social media and YouTube also added lots of entertainment for people. Even Disney Channel, which had an incredible viewership during the early and mid-2000s, lost about 90% of its viewers by the 2020s. Qubo was also said to have been losing rights to a number of shows. In September of 2020, the EW Scripps Company purchased Ion Media for $2.65 billion. 1 week after the sale was closed in January of 2021, they announced that they would be discontinuing Qubo at the end of the evening of February 28th. The Qubo channel did not make any announcement of it. There were just occasional ticker announcements which were run by the station. And after February 28th, after an episode of Inspector Gadget, Qubo officially went off the air. It is said that some network affiliates ended Qubo earlier than others. There are reports of Inspector Gadget ending at different times, because of some affiliates abruptly turning Qubo off.
Gadget. Yes, Dr. Claw. I'm on my way. First, I have to prepare my weapon. A new watch for Gadget.
But when it changed to March of 2021, Qubo TV was entirely gone. Qubo will be remembered by those who watched it. For many kids who did not grow up with cable TV in the 2000s, it might have been the only kids channel that they had. Overall, it was never nearly as popular as networks like Disney Channel, Nickelodeon, or Cartoon Network, but it was still entertaining and had some underrated shows. Today, you can find some of Qubo's shows across various streaming platforms. Before I end the video, I want to give a shout out to some of my personal favorite Qubo shows that I didn't mention yet in the video. Besides Jacob Tutu, which I already talked about, one of my favorite Qubo shows was Sitting Ducks. This was an animated comedy show that originally aired from 2001 to 2003 on Cartoon Network. It was about a duck named Bill living in Ducktown. Another show was Pekola, a show about a penguin who lives in Cubetown. The show originally aired in Japan and Canada from 2001 to 2002. Inspector Gadget was a cartoon series which originally ran from 1983 to 85. It's about a cyborg named Inspector Gadget who solves mysteries with the help of his niece, Penny Brown. Also a shout out to Rescue Heroes, Gofret, Franklin, and Rupert. If you watched Qubo, what were your favorite shows? Let me know in the comments. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.